All right. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Kris and Scobs. What's going on?
Not a whole bunch. Just having a drink on a Saturday night.
Ain't that the truth?
What's going
That's
on
a
with
pretty.
you?
Oh, it's about the same. Got the wife and kid out of town. So, cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
And the cat's away.
When mom's away, the kids will play, right?
Isn't it
There you
somebody's
go.
anniversary today?
Yeah, I heard it was somebody's anniversary today.
Yeah, six years she's been with this guy. How does that work?
Wow. Congrats.
I know. I always say I'm dating up or I'm marrying up. So we're not married yet, but 6 years, same shit. In the eyes of the government, she can take half. So, well, hey guys, thanks for coming back. I know, coming back. This is your first time on this show, but you guys came on our previous show, Gunning Around.
Yeah,
and we had a great talk last time. And I figured, hey, let's bring you back because, I want to see how the season went because I think we talked to you guys before Christmas.
Yeah,
and I want an update. How'd the season go? And just give us a rundown. How'd it go?
the season was great. Like, yeah,
Really?
the kite hunt was tough, like it always is. There's some years are tougher than others. Sometimes they're responding better than other years. Some days are better. Like if you can get no wind and you can get cold weather, it always makes for a good season. And you have areas that are producing compared to other areas, but all in all, I think we were right around the 110 mark. Between Jeff and I, went to 110 mark that we actually went to the Skinner, went to sale. There's always some more that were mange or mites that went to the burn pile, but I think 110 went for sale.
Nice.
110 out of how many overall?
Oh, the mange and mites were pretty low. There might have been maybe another 10 or 15. We had some years where there was 30, 40, 50%. In some areas, some guys were like 90%, where especially the trapping guys, I remember some of the guys out east said they trapped 100 and pitched 90 of them.
Holy.
Yeah, like they're just bad, but I think we only had 10 or 15 that were not sellable. So we were less than 10%, which was a really good sign that the population's healthy. Normally when mange is higher, we see populations higher, and it's nature's way of population control. So the populations are probably really in check now. There's not an abundance. They're not running over you. You're not seeing as many out. So I think the populations are down, but the population's healthy.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cold too, right? This last winter too. Mm-hmm. So that also
there were some unforeseen circumstances, obviously, with regards to just being able to get out, period. So the number of hunt days we had together were quite a bit less from previous years, just because of work situations and whatnot. So hopefully that'll be better this year, and we'll be able to get out a lot more this year.
Yeah, I'm saving up holidays.
Say that again, Kurt.
I said, will COVID survive in -20? I guess that hasn't been addressed yet. The heat factor's been addressed, but we don't know about cold yet, do we?
I have no idea, but COVID or not, we're going to be out.
Exactly.
I bet you that 40 sailor will kill just about any sort of number of COVID that you throw at it.
Yeah.
Right on. So for the new guys, sorry guys. For the new guys that are listening, tell us a little bit about yourselves. So PWH, what is PWH?
PWH is Predator World Hunting. So a number of years back, we just decided that we would start up Predator World Hunting, all about predators. I've been all over the planet in Africa and down in the US, and the goal is I just love predator hunting. There's just something about going in their territory, calling them to you. It's just it's so satisfying and gratifying to win at their game that we just did it. So years ago, Jeff looked me up and he knew that I was out there, and he's ambitious. He wanted to learn. So he said, hey, can I come out and says, I've been doing this game, but I'm only a year into it. Can you show me the ropes? So I saw that he was ambitious and driven. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You come out, and we went on some hunts, and he's like, wow, you do it way different than I do it. And everyone's got their own technique. And then we were sitting at this stand, and I think it was maybe our second time out, and he dropped me off, and we sometimes if we're not sitting together, if we're in the wide open prairie, there's no way to hide the vehicle or do anything. We'll just drop a guy off and head down the road, and we'll say, hey, come get me in half an hour or 45 minutes. And we got radios. And so I think like 15 minutes went by, and I radio him. I'm like, hey, so you want to come get me? He's like, I'm out of bullets and I got 5 coyotes down. He's like, yeah, yeah. He's like, and I got an 18-inch cock. And I'm like, well, you're going to whip it out when you get here because I am out of bullets. I don't know what to tell you.
Fucking Queen Elizabeth sent me a Tinder like or whatever. And there you go.
It was unreal. I keep telling everybody it was like the scene of The Walking Dead, except with coyotes laying everywhere. There was 5 of them laying all around him when I drove up to it. I couldn't believe it. But
kidding.
What's that old World War II story where you got the guy in the Pacific Theater with his 1911 and you got 7 or 8 dead Japs around him, and he's perched up against a tree riddled with bullet holes, out of ammo, and that's Kris.
Yeah, well, yeah, ever since then we've been giving her since. Like even the beginning of last season, like we go out, I shoot a double with the 20 BR right out of the gate, and I'm like, well, now I got to get 2 skulls done because we got skulls done with the casings done, their mouths open,
oh,
the casings done. Nice. And I'm like, now I got to get 2, and then Jeff shoots 1 later, and then I shoot another double. Then he's got to outshine me, and he shoots a triple that day. So we had just a pile of fur in the truck. I think it was 9 or 10 in the truck.
But you know what? If you can surround yourself, like competition breeds success, and if you guys are buddies and you can healthily. Is that a word? Healthily compete against each other, you know that it's just going to breed more success. Like you said, he got a double. Fuck, I got to beat this guy. Yeah. God damn it.
Oh, and it doesn't really matter. We love it when we just go on stand and we take turns. One guy runs the camera, the other guy runs the rifle and the shotgun, and I'm just as happy being behind the camera watching them just slam a single or slam a double and shotgun.
I'm so proud of you, dude.
But talking about different styles, like he was referring to earlier, I was typically using a lot of hand calls. I use electronic as well, but would get the odd one in close. But mostly it would be 150, 200, 250. Obviously wanted to get into the long range game, so through various friends, Prairie Long Range Academy. That's where I met Kurt for the first time at his range, all that kind of stuff. Wanted to get better at distance because there was times where I had coyotes at my furthest is 605, 606 yards, I think it was, confirmed kill. And so I wanted to get better long because there was a lot of times where they'd hang up, whether they'd see me or whatever. No, he takes me out on the very first stand. He takes me where I sit with him to see how he does it. And we sit down against this bush in the shadows, and we sit down here, and I'm going, what are we doing here? I can't see more than 40 yards. Like, what is this? This isn't
just wait.
And he's like, no, we'll be good. And he turns the call on, and he does the calling, and this coyote comes barreling over this knoll right towards us, and he literally comes to a skidding stop with nose in the snow right at the call. I mean, I can't believe what I've just witnessed, and I'm just like
in the movie 300 when the guy throws the spear and the rhino drags right in the guy's feet. That'd be cool.
You couldn't see more than maybe 60 yards in any direction because of the hills and knolls. We were in this little bowl in his pocket. I'm just like, wow, I never would have thought to try and sit on that stand. So two very different styles. Obviously, we've kind of grown in together, kind of taking the best of both, and now I know I can adapt to those scenarios where I can't see very far, and trying to get Kris to keeping his downwind side more open when we are in that open stuff, and it's kind of a mix of both and producing really well. It was a mix of both. I used to shoot 22 250, then went to 223 for pelt damage, and 223 I've shot 95% inside of 100 yards. And Jeff was shooting long, and I'm like, I like the percentages. I like just having them close, and there's no holes to sew when you shoot them with the 12 bore. So, and it makes for good excitement. So then that's how we kind of come up with the brainchild of
doing a 20 BR, and Jeff did research and was like, how can we get the best of both worlds so we can have this stuff where the option is like, let them come to you, and if they hang up just outside of shotgun range, you got them down, and if they're out there at 500, you got them down. Like,
I still
take them. I got a lot of footage on the camera of coyotes at 3 and 350, and I'm on the camera and he's on the gun with his 223, and I'm like, shoot him, shoot him. And he's like, yeah. So now we got him a gun that can get out there a little further. And
we'll dive into the 20 BR in a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure, no worries.
So you guys kind of got into a little bit about what you guys have been doing to kind of be successful. So how do you be successful in coyote hunting?
Well, you got to put in the time. Like you got to scout the areas. You got to find sign. Like going coyote hunting where there's no coyotes is absolutely a waste of fucking time. You know, so you got to go in, make sure you see the sign, look for scat, look for prints, and talk to farmers if they're having trouble. You know, that do your homework is step one. Then you got to secure some permission, know the area, know the land, and then go in and, like, we use maps, we use Google Maps, we use Google Earth to try and find out where we're going to go and have a game plan. And we just get up at the crack of dawn at like 4 a.m. That's where probably some bolt action coffee is going to be happening good this year. And hunt to the last second of legal light, day in and day out. Like
funny you bring that up, because Bolt Action has just recently sponsored the show, and if you guys use the code First Focal Plane, is it First Focal Plane? Yeah, First Focal Plane, all caps at checkout. You get 10% off.
Excellent.
And you're helping the show. So why pay government theft when you can save a little cash and drink great coffee, right? So
yeah, anyway. Absolutely. And it's just about being dedicated. We try and grow, and we learn something every time we're out to get better and better and better. And like, you start to see and understand the mannerisms of coyotes. You know if that coyote's going to hang out there, if you know it's coming. And once you get comfortable, it's like anything else. Once you get comfortable in your stand behind the rifle, patience is key, because it's their game. They're in no hurry. Like, granted, they're probably hungry. Like my old man always used to say, I was like, what's for breakfast? He's like, oh, we're going to have a coyote's breakfast. I'm like, what's that? He's like, a drink of water and a look around, you know, like, but it's all about being patient. So we get out and stand on the field and don't get up and go. Like, some days they're running on top of you. Some days it's 45 minutes to an hour and they're coming slow because they're just not that hungry or not that interested or more cautious. Yeah. So you got to find out early. The key is to find out early in the day, because every day is different. But if you find out early in the day what works, all you do is repeat that all day long and have success all day long, because they all subscribe to the same newsletter, and it's the same thing on that day. And the next day, totally different day, totally different situation. Find out what they love and beat the hell out of it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Wind speed, wind direction, the sun, the direct, like if you're looking into the sun versus having the sun behind you, making if you can keep the sun in their eyes versus in yours, all these things to try and help break up your outline, conceal your scent control. It's just
don't skyline.
It's there's so much that goes into it, and it's
disguise yourself as a fence post.
Yeah,
it's not an easy game.
So what you're saying, driving in my truck and jumping out of the truck because I saw one is not a good method of harvesting a coyote?
The key of killing coyotes is seeing them long before they see you. When you're driving in your truck, it's not super efficient, that's for sure. You'll get the odd one, and you'll sow some holes and smell some gut juice and stuff. But I like when they come in and they stop there and they're staring at you. They don't know what's going on. It's 75 yards, and you can just place the bullet in the 10 ring and have them just fall straight down. And you're like, turn the call back on or blow a hand call and wait for the next one to come in.
That's right. And in all seriousness, there's nothing better than just taking that good, clean shot, perfect wind call, perfect everything, and then seeing that thing drop. There's nothing better, I think.
And on our Instagram, we got lots of that footage. We signed up with Tacticam, and we're part of the team Tacticam, and we've been running.
Nice.
We've been running the Tacticam FTS inside our scope, so you get to see what we see in our scope as they come bouncing in, as they're coming to the call, and you get to see the crosshair settle and then fold over. It's pretty epic.
No, it's cool. I've been following you guys for a while now, and that's some sweet technology. That's so Tacticam. Where can you get one of those things?
So I think Bennett Extreme has just started bringing them in. So yeah, look up Bennett Extreme Range Outfitters. He's going to be bringing in a bunch of Tacticam stuff, and we run the Tacticam 5.0s. We run the regulars. We run the regulars with the FTS, the film through scope modules on our scopes, and then we run the 5.0 wides for our kind of point of view to film us so you can see us move around, and then we run the remotes. So it's really. Yeah. The key is you don't want to have movement. So you see coyotes, and we just reach in. We got the remotes around our neck on our Reese Outdoors Predator packs. You just click the remote, and it turns on all your cameras at once.
Oh wow!
Yeah, if you don't have the remote, you got to reach up on the scope and hit the button to get it to start. But with these remotes, you can have it in your pocket and click it and start your camera on your gun. Start the like a GoPro type view camera that's pointing towards us, the 5.0 wide. So it starts all your recording as soon as you want to, and then it's pretty.
And I think you can have up to 4 or 5 cameras on the remote, and you could just have them in all directions, and we just click it, starts recording, they're time synced, and then let it play out.
Well, you do put out some pretty damn good stuff with those things.
Oh yeah, you can do up to 4K with them. They're pretty epic.
4K. Wow.
Yeah, we do 1080. We need 1080p and 60 or 120 frames. I can't remember. I'd have to look them up. But yeah,
that's it. That's
I like slowing it right down. I had this one where the coyotes. It was a 3-legged coyote hopping in and chopping in. We could slow it right down, and he comes so close and was just hopping. You know how the crosshairs just settle, and you just squeeze, and he just folds over. And it makes for good footage.
Did you see? Speaking of 3-legged coyotes, did you see that joke Spudman sent in?
I did see that.
Yeah. You got to tell it, Kurt. Tell it for the listeners, Kurt.
Yeah. Did you hear the one about the blonde coyote? She chewed off 3 of her legs and was still stuck in the trap. That is gold.
That's great. That's awesome.
Oh, funny.
Right on. So you briefly mentioned the Reese Outdoor Predator Pack. I think I see a couple of them behind you. Scobs, do you want to give us the rundown on those?
Sure. This is obviously
they're pretty sweet. I've been wanting to buy one for a while, and I just haven't yet. But yeah.
Well, we like you guys so much that these are yours. So you guys can fight over your power.
Fuck off. Fuck right off.
These guys are yours.
Yeah.
I still owe you money for that thing sitting beside you there. So leave me alone. You're just trying to guilt me into paying you. You're like, here, come get one of these packs so you can give me my fucking money, hey?
Yeah, so it's a chest-mounted vinyl pack. It's got magnetic closures on the front to keep your binoculars in there handy. It's got a bunch of D-rings with lanyards on it, so you can attach your hand calls to there. It's got elastic retentions on the side, so those hand calls stay retained. They're not clanging around like a set of wind chimes when you're walking into stands when you're trying to stay nice and silent.
Right.
Front pocket, if you've got a small, like a 1600B rangefinder would fit in here. Your Kestrel, if you use a Kestrel wind meter, that would fit in there. Extra calls, whatever.
I use my windicator. I put my windicator in the front.
It's got another elastic on the bottom. We keep our electronic remote in there sometimes. It's also got one on the top for the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's a pouch in behind. You can keep your keys or your dope cards or whatever in the back of there. Yeah, they're pretty handy. And obviously, Mr. Reese designed all this. He's always looking for feedback. We always give him ideas on how to improve these things and make them more efficient. high speed, low drag. We improved the harness last year, so that was an upgrade. But yeah,
I really like the magnetic main pouch front.
There's no clipping, and being silent is key to success.
Yep.
So you just want to be able to lift up, grab your gear, come out, do it. They just work so well.
Yeah,
definitely.
So the Predator packs, and of course all the calls from Reese Outdoors are available on www.reeseoutdoorscanada.com. And we got a few new things coming here this season. We got some
drag strings.
Yeah, we're working on over the shoulder type drag string, and so looking forward
over the shoulder drag string. That would be cool.
Yeah,
that's the worst part about coyote hunting is dragging those cocksuckers back.
And especially when you got 2 or 3 on a stand.
Oh, no kidding.
Just tie it up, and it's a lot of work. And
so okay, let's kind of talk about that. So say you drop a double, okay, and you're still ready to go. Is it myth or is it true that leaving the carcass there will attract potential more suitors in, or the opposite, right?
Well, I got a video where I shoot one at about 300, and 2 were coming in. I shoot one, and the other one circles right around, comes right back to it, and I shoot it, and then a third one runs way out to 1,000 and comes right back and lays its nose right on it, and I squeeze the trigger, and there's 3 laying within 15 yards. So if it's in the vicinity and it's that right time of year, like, yes. But just to leave the carcass there, I've had them where you put them down, they're coming anyway, they're going to stop and take a look and say, what's going on?
Yeah.
But is it going to be an attractant? I don't think so. But are they curious when it's there? Absolutely.
Well, because they're scavengers, right? So if they see a dead one there, they're like, oh, fucking great, easy meal.
Yeah, I think when the birds come in, the magpies, when they come in to investigate, the coyotes, they watch the magpies quite a bit. And if they see a magpie's coming in and going down on something and they don't know what it is, then they're probably going to come investigate to see what it is.
Yeah.
The birds help a lot. Yep.
Yeah. But I remember I hunted with this stand. It was ridiculous with Captain Coyote. So this coyote, he comes in, it's running along the edge, and he dumps this coyote. Coyote goes right down. Second one comes, and it's kind of standing. It comes up to that coyote, and he's shooting 223 too, and he made a good shot on the first one. Second one, he shoots and he hits it a little behind. Well, that coyote thought the first one bit it, and it just tore the shit out of the first coyote. Tore it up, and then he had to shoot the second one twice. Put a big hole in it. The first one's got giant holes from the first coyote ripping. The second coyote ripping holes in it, and we got 0. But it was pretty epic. I wish I would have had it on camera because he thought the first coyote bit it and tore, like there was fur flying. He just tore it apart.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the time. If it's a super cold day and they're hungry, they'll eat fucking anything.
Yeah.
But
I don't think they're going to eat another coyote fur on hot like that. It's just, I don't think that's what it's all about. Like, I know a lot of guys, and our Skinner, Tyler, he uses peeled off carcasses and puts them in his bait pile and stuff. I just don't know if they're going to cannibalize another coyote fur on, especially hot.
We got, if Tyler's the guy I'm thinking of, what's his last name again? Can we say that on air?
Sure.
I think
Tyler Duchesne. He's our
Duchesne. Yeah. So I got a story about that kid. Yeah, that kid's a beauty. He's renowned around the Regina area.
He's a beauty for sure.
He'll take anything. He'll take if there's a roadkill, you just send him a text. He'll be there in like 10, 15 minutes, and he'll just.
We're dropping off coyotes, and he's loading off dead mule deer that he got off the highway, and I'm like, they call it.
Well, like the one mule deer I got from Consul area there. I brought it back to butcher it, hung it up and butchered it. But I'm like, I don't want to take it to the hide. What am I going to do with the bones? I got little fucking dogs. They'll choke and die on these bones. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm like, I'm just going to text Tyler. Tyler was there within half an hour, just hornier than shit, ready to take this thing off me.
Yeah.
Just this is great because he uses those parts to make mounts for other guys and stuff too, right? Yep. So it's just phenomenal. No, he's a good dude. Shout out to Ty. He's a good guy.
He does our coyotes and treats us really well. So it's it's great. Like at the end of the day, we're usually 2-3 hours from Regina. We hunt till last light, 9 o'clock at night. The last thing I want to do is
work,
deal with coyotes and work. He's like, oh yeah, just dump them and I'll get to them. I'll figure them out. We just offload a truckload of coyotes, and he's like, how many did you get? I'm like, I got 6 or 8 that day or something. He's like, all right, just offload them. I'll deal with it.
Nice. Yeah, he's a good guy. So let's kind of talk about that. So you offload the coyotes. He gives you the furs back.
Yep.
Where do you go with them from there? What do you do with them?
Well, up until last year, for 20-some plus years, I was a member of NAFA, North American Fur Association, and we sold there. But last year, that all changed.
They went NAFA, tits up, right?
When NAFA went broke, they went tits up. So we were like, is there going to be a place to market? And there's other fur buyers that heard, but a couple independents stepped up. They have a direct line to some buyers overseas, and it was slick. It was easy. They'd text you when they're coming through town. A bunch of guys that are in the industry, trapping and shooting, have all their furs there. You wait in line, grade your fur right there, and write you a check or gives you cash, whatever it's going to be.
On the spot.
Receipt, on the spot. You don't got to wait for a sale. Don't got to wait for anything. And you might not be getting perfect like NAFA stuff, but it was close. There was no complaints by anyone, that's for sure. And they were fair with their grading. They were good guys. Everything worked out great. Like I think we averaged 130 or 135 per coyote last year, where previous years we were 140, 150 in the good years, 110
but
in the bad years. So you can't complain about that. No way, no how. Like have in Saskatchewan, we have the absolute best coyote fur in Western Canada, especially like Saskatchewan, Alberta. We have Western Selects. We got the Western Heavy, best fur that is in the market, and they were treating us really well.
Nice. And so what are they using the fur for?
So most of the fur goes for trim, hood trim, cuff trim, and most of it was going to Canada Goose. But the rumor is come here this summer, Canada Goose is moving to synthetic. I don't know if that's true or not, but this could tank the fur industry because most other fur is not worth your time. Fox is not worth your time. Bobcat has always been good, but our bobcats aren't like southern U.S. bobcats with the spotted belly, really pretty. Our bobcats are dark and they're rare. It's not like New Mexico and Arizona and Texas bobcats. So really, there's not much else on the fur. The rest of the fur, if it did sell, it went for peanuts compared to what it was. So this year could be a really bad year for fur. But Jeff and I, that's a byproduct. Our goal is, hey, if we can break even, that's great. If we can't, we're still going.
Yeah, that's right. It's a love of the sport, right?
It is, yeah. And we do it to help out farmers. We drop off cards, and any of the farmers that are having trouble, they call us up and be like, "Hey, I got coyotes in my yard. They're taking my dogs and cats. They're trying to lure and toll my dog out, and he's like, they've lost livestock, and they're like, hey, I've been calving this year, and the coyotes are coming in like crazy." So we go out as much, and we try and make those contacts and treat those ranchers and landowners like as good as possible, because they let us come in and like basically hunt in their backyard and take out the things that is affecting their livelihood as ranchers.
For sure. And thousands of acres that you guys probably have access to that, for just being good dudes and doing your due diligence and, saying, hey, Mr. Farmer, here I am to help. If you need me, let me know. In the meantime, can I post up? Because I know there's some around the area. 99.98% of them are going to be like, yeah, go for it. They're a nuisance, right?
Yeah,
but then
most of them are pretty good.
Most of them are pretty good. You get the odd one that doesn't want you in the neighborhood. They tell you to beat it.
Well, and there's other guys that have ruined it, right? For certain farmers too that have, shot them all out or stepped on. And isn't there an unwritten code that you don't step on someone else's territory if you're coyote hunting, kind of thing?
Well, yeah, like you try and keep your distance. If you see other guys, you just ask them where, like, hey, about where are you going? I'll go a different route. Like, you don't want coyotes that are overcalled, and that's with the high prices and the exposure coyote hunting. Like years ago, I was the only guy out there. It was coyotes never heard this tune, so we had to be pretty innovative. And like if there's a Fox Pro and someone's playing it, like I've been in areas where you actually play it and the coyote looks up and laughs at you and walks the other way.
Yeah. I know that sound.
Yeah, like I heard that yesterday, the day before, last week, and I'm rolling, So they got a long memory. And like there's rumors and there's theories that this is generational. So the pups that year, they know that sound, and that's not going on. So that's where the beauty of the hand calls and mixing it up. And like there's a place where we do a mix of both. So you give them something different with the hand calls that can't be by a speaker, that can't be tuned out. And what I like the electronic is like the coyotes know the square foot that sound is coming from when they get in a certain vicinity. And that vicinity could be 500 yards, 600 yards. They know the square foot from that sound is. So if you're blowing it on hand, like you have to be absolutely still. And they got great eyesight. That's where I like you start with the hand calls, get them interested in, and then you switch to the electronic if you're able to see them out a long way and able to do that, because it takes the focus off you. That allows you the time to move your gun, get on the bipod, get on the tripod, have that extra few seconds to get the crosshairs on there before they see you and make a good ethical kill. So and it only comes with seat time. You'll notice that when you see the mannerisms. Like we used to, when I was a kid, my old man, all he had was hand calls, and he'd be like, don't move a muscle, don't move a muscle. And we wait till that coyote was so close, and then he'd pop up and they'd try and get it on the run, or if it didn't know what was going on and he got so good, he'd lay the gun down the crosshairs and squeeze before it knew. But like it was, you only had a split second. I like having a little bit and tracking them in, wait till they stop, and then give them a little, ooh, and they just stop, look at you, squeeze, lights out. Like that's always the best for me.
Well,
what's your closest shot there, you guys?
Well, I had a coyote jump over my feet coming from the side, and I shot him as he was going for the call that was in front. The call is usually 50 or 60. Like with my brother, we had a coyote come in, and it was tail was on fire, and I said, well. Yeah. Let it come really close, and it come and bit the call, and the call's rolling. It doesn't know what's going on, and it was right in front of us, like at 20 yards by the time. Like we shot a lot close, like really close.
Yeah.
So when you get a coyote in that close, are you switching to the shotgun like a double up buck, or what are you looking at there?
Well, we usually shoot BB or triple B or T shot. So yeah, like I like shooting BB or triple B. And like anything inside 50 yards, shooting them with the shotty is the best. But with Jeff's, like we had a stand last year, and this coyote come through this ravine and popped up, and then he squeezed the coyote and it fell down, and I'm on the camera. I'm like, oh, sweet. And then this one behind us is yipping. So he's like, I'm gonna take the gun. And you just keep playing the call, and I was like, all right, I'm on the camera. So he's crawling over and moving, trying to get this one that's yipping. And I got the shotgun, it's laying there, and I got the camera. All of a sudden, this other one comes up, and it's running by, and I'm like, man, that's like 65 yards. And I'm like, I'm giving him the 12 more. And sure enough, we got that one too. So
jeez. I'm getting ready to squeeze on this one 100 yards behind that I've snuck up to on my belly. Yeah. And also to hear the shotgun go off. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
You asshole.
He's like, I know, the double. Let's get out of here. Let's go. Yeah. Next down.
That's good.
Do it again.
Yeah. So what are you guys running for shotguns?
I bought a Beretta 13-1 competition. originally I was going to use it for 3-gun possibly and coyote hunting, but I really like the features on that for coyote hunting for some specific reasons. The 24-inch barrel obviously swings a lot better than a 28. It's a little shorter, more compact. Obviously, an auto loader. The one of the big things for me was the ability to unload the magazine without having to take my gloves off. I can do it with the side button. So all around package for coyote hunting, I thought it was absolutely perfect. I did put an extension tube on the magazine, not for magazine capacity, just so that it sticks past the barrel away, so that I don't know how many times I've sat down on stand and stuck the end of the barrel in the mud or the snow. So it's still legal. It's still plugged to carry the maximum 5 rounds for what it's chambered for the 3-inch. But yeah, that's why I put the extension on it, and then I got Mike from Johnson Brothers Customs in Calgary to do the camel pattern on it to match my rifle. He did an awesome job on that.
And I just got the old 870 Wingmaster that I love a pump, and it's good. I put a stock on it with a pistol grip and something that I could folding so I could stick it in my pack if need be, and a reflex sight. So yeah, you have that sitting in your lap, and then you have your gun up on the bipod, and if you need to just move it out of the way, you just drop the buttstock and you just pop up and give them the 12.
Todd asked just a little bit ago, how does he get on a hunt with you guys?
Hey, reach out. We can. We're all in favor of taking out new guys and doing it. So
it's nice having 3 guys actually, because then one guy drives the truck, 2 guys get out, the guy drives the truck away. You're having to do less walking because the truck can drive away, and one guy can run the call and the camera, or one guy could be on the gun, or you can both be on the gun.
And we like to be efficient. There's something to be said. I love the country and beautiful, but when you're walking, you're wasting calling time.
For sure.
Yeah. So you want to know your areas, plan your routes. We look at the weather. We find out where we're going the night before. We get up. I've got routes planned on where we're going. Got everything marked, and we know where we're sitting the first stand, the direction we're going, and the goal is, because sometimes if they're coming in quick, then you can get a lot of stands. If they're coming in slow, you gotta wait them out, and you get less stands in there. But you don't. The key is to find out what kind of day it is and play that day.
What does Captain Coyote say? He says it's like selling vacuums. The more doors you knock on, the more vacuums you're going to sell.
That's right.
True.
So let's kind of walk through, like, what does it take to get into predator hunting? Like, say you're fresh off the street, and I just got my pal, and I want to go shoot a coyote. What do I got to do?
You just need a rifle, some calls. If you can't afford electric, you can just get some hand calls, and then you just gotta do some research and understand where there could be some coyotes in the area. And then obviously their nose and their eyesight are way better than ours. So you got to play it right.
See, he forgets how long he's been doing this and how big the learning curve is. There's so many things that you need to do well to be successful at coyote. It's one of the hardest things I think I've done. Obviously the coyote is one of the apex predators in these parts of the country, and they are like, they can see 100 times better than you with a set of binoculars in your hand. They can hear 1,000 times better than you. They're gonna, it's very, very hard. If you're lucky enough to see them first before they see you, obviously you have the upper hand. But I've obviously over the years I've learned a lot. Then when we started hunting together, obviously I learned a lot more. But it's a big, steep learning curve. And I know I talked to a lot of guys that have tried it and didn't have any success, and they get frustrated and everything else. And that's normal.
That's what I was going to say. You you got to be willing to make a lot of mistakes and keep going back.
And it is a learning curve. But once you get on the game, and once you have your first successful stand, like either you're gonna love it or it's just not gonna be for you.
Yeah.
Like you don't find guys that are like, oh yeah, like for Jeff and I, we'd rather predator hunt than any other hunt. I love calling and bugling in big bull elk, but I love predator hunting more. It is what I love the most. Like my next trip is to Africa. I'm going to shoot spotted hyenas, and I'm going to call them and have them come like great. We was on some jackal hunts and some caracal hunts in Africa, and it's really similar. But I want to see them.
Imagine calling a hyena like 20 yards away, and you pull out that old pump 870, and you're just let's go, bud.
So the guys that I talked with there, I'm like, this is what I do, and they watched my videos and watched our videos, seen the stuff, and they're like, all right, well, we can call hyenas like this, but like you got to make sure you're on, and there's two backup guns because they don't stop till there's something in their mouth, and you need to put them down before they get to us.
Yeah, definitely. You're gonna be it in their mouth.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah,
that'd be a rush, man.
So the horn hunter guys that they'll spend months glassing, looking for that that trophy buck and stalking, and the whole 2 months or 3 months that goes into it. I give them credit for the dedication for that, but for me it's like, okay, I want to get a deer shot this morning, get it in the truck, get it hung, get it skinned, get the sausage made so we can get back out hunting coyotes. Like we're wasting coyote time here. Let's go.
And like my brother loves that. We were raised the same. I love predator hunting. He just loves elk hunting and loves big whitetail hunting. He'll put in the time and do it. A successful hunt for him is a bunch of time and squeeze the trigger once, and an elk hunt. Successful hunt, bunch of time, squeeze the trigger once on a whitetail. I like pulling trigger, and I like pulling trigger a lot. Successful hunt for me is pulling triggers a lot of time.
Yeah, and friend of the show, Wes, there, who we've been trying to get on for freaking years, it seems like. He always says he hates hunting because it's work. He likes 3-gun because you can shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you've obviously never been coyote hunting. You can blast away.
I never shot PRS till we got in with Jeff, and he got me into it. And I'm just like, yeah, if I can get better at the gun, if I can get the feel, and if I can keep on squeezing trigger throughout the summer and get that craft down, learn it, and I just got addicted. Now it's like, okay, well, time to put the coyote rifles away. It's PRS time. Time to put the PRS rifles. It's coyote time.
Yeah. How much does that help with coyote hunting, hey?
Well, I'm just getting into it, so I'll tell you this year, but it helped a lot last year just because with especially shooting longer range, I wasn't like, I had the 22-50, but it was, okay, well, I'm running MOA and I'm going to hold a foot over its back. Now there's none of that, Now you're dope. Now you know where you're going. You have a pretty good idea. And like, it took no time, and I'm behind, and Jeff's got the 20, and this coyote starts yipping at us. I think he missed it close. And then it took off, and it was still yipping, and he crested the hill, and I think it was out there at 478 or something. Dialed up there, poof.
Yeah,
fold it over. I'm like, all right, well, that's the marker to beat for this year.
Well, especially when you
part about that is that you got to march through the snow 400.
So I'm sitting there
478 back
filming it, and I'm like, well, this is boring. I can just stop now because he's not going to be back for another 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So you're posting up in a stand, and it's -30, -40. How are you staying warm?
You dress for the weather. You gear up like we're in full. The only thing that's showing is our face, and you just try and get as comfortable as possible. Sitting in the snow sucks. You want to kind of dig yourself a hole, but you got to make a good shooting lane and a good hole. So you want to stay low to the ground, but not too low where you can't see. So you like get a predator chair where you're sitting 6-12 inches off the ground, dig yourself a hole, get in there, make sure you can move your gun, because wherever you think the coyotes are coming from, they're probably not coming from that direction. they're coming from a different one. It's pretty rare that they're coming right the direction your gun's pointed. They're usually flying in from some direction you didn't expect from. So it's all about trying to gear up, and don't get me wrong, it's tough when you see minus 30, minus 40 with the wind chill, but we're looking at and we see 5K wind. Jeff and I are out. We're like, yeah, for sure. We're in. Like, we're out there. We're in. It's going to be cold, and that first stand, it's rocking your bones to the core. But as soon as you see a coyote come in, you warm up immediately.
That adrenaline starts pumping. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. For me, it's layers. Merino wool for a base layer works awesome. And you got to be efficient. You can't be wasting time on stand. You got to be in. You do your, hopefully you get some action quick on those real cold days, because they got to eat lots when it's cold. They got to eat more to stay warm too. So they tend to respond on those days. I know there's a lot of days where we've gone out and guys are like, "You're crazy going out today. I'd never go." Boys, this is the absolute perfect day. This is the mecca for coyote hunters. If you get these, it's perfect.
Now just remember,
a buddy of mine and I that used to wait for that minus 27, minus 30. If it wasn't above 15 kilometer an hour wind, we were out there all the time. It's just like ringing a damn bell, Pavlov's dogs kind of thing.
Nothing keeping me home those days.
Oh yeah.
That day I shot 5 on one stand, it was 30 below and no wind.
Yeah. Wow. That's getting tough for me to do anymore. Yeah. I'm getting soft in my old age.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, Todd had a question, or not really a question, more of a statement, I guess. He was saying something about, if I can find it again, he was asking, he's having a hell of a time getting them in. Been at it for 2 seasons, hell of a time getting them to come in. Tips and tricks for those hard to call coyotes, I guess.
Change it up. Like if they've heard rabbit, change it up. Do some, if there's lots of farms out, try some kitten, try some chicken, change it up a little bit to something that they maybe haven't heard. Maybe try some howls. Like, howls either work or they don't. Try some, just change up your calls, change up your sequence, and make sure that you're seeing your wind. A lot of times, and this is what Jeff and I kind of worked on together, and where I was different. I was like, well, if they come on my downwind, they're not coming anyway. So I'm scanning here. And then Jeff and I were like, now that we can reach out and do this, let's look over to, because coyotes want to circle downwind. And some days, if you're looking this way, they're back there and they're smelling you at 400 and they're gone. You may have coyotes coming every stand and not know it. So being able to see and having that, your stand is 80% of your success. Setting up in your stand is absolutely 80% of your success. You want to be able to see, you want to be able to react, you want to be able to move, and in all directions. And a lot of times, if the wind's blowing, Jeff and I won't set up so the wind is right in our face. We'll set up so the wind is over on this side, and we can see you that way. But I want to be able to see your downwind. The key is you got to be able to reach out and get them before they get your scent, and that could be at 300, 400 yards. Yeah. So if you're capable of doing that and capable of making that kill out there, absolutely look at your downwind, because if they're circling out, especially in a heavier bush area in the prairies, it's hard for them to kind of sneak up on you, but they will run low line. I've been out in absolutely bald fields and prairie, a stubble field, and it looks like you can see out, and all of a sudden a coyote's right there, and you're like, how did it get there? By the time you get up there, like, oh, there's this much ravine and it's sneaking along. It knows it. They know the terrain way better than you. Be prepared for anything, but make sure you can see as much as possible.
For me, the coyotes that don't want to come in, I think that's where the hand calls, the Reese Outdoors hand calls that I use. You can use the same call with a different cadence, a different pitch, a different volume, and it's completely different than you used the last time. And those really tough to call coyotes, that helps. Like Kris says, obviously wind in the face, or for me, out of the right. I'm right-handed shooter, so it's a lot easier for me to turn this way if they do come in the downwind. If I had to spin this the other way to the other side, it'd be easy if I was left-handed, but I keep that in mind too when I'm setting up on the stand, because I either want to
start shooting that 20 BR offhand there, Scobs.
Well, we were practicing that.
We were practicing at the range with the PRS guns, because I said you're gonna end up having to do this too, and he's like, really? I'm like, yep.
Yeah, but it's all about changing it up. And like, check out our YouTube, and Jeff does a lot of Reese outdoors, and he blows that same call and makes it sound completely different. And he's really good at it with practice. It all just takes us some practice on that call, and you can produce way different sounds with the same call.
Whirly tail things. Yes, we use decoys.
Yeah, we use decoys for sure.
Yeah, Luke, we definitely use a decoy, especially on the we have those on a remote, or I do have it on a remote. Kris runs his full time, but especially when those coyotes start coming in, and it never fails. They come in on my downwind, and he's over here on my left, and I can see it in my peripheral that there's a coyote over there, but I know I can't move because he's looking at me. If I move, he's going to book it. So now if I can not move and have my remote it's underneath my pack, and I can click that button on for the decoy to move, and as soon as the decoy starts going, now his eyes go to that decoy, and that gives me my opportunity now to get up and get that gun on him and either shoot him right there, or maybe you put a little bit of sound on with the decoy, and now he starts going to that machine, thinking that animal that was in distress has moved from this spot to that another 20 or 30 yards there. The decoys are a great tool, but make sure you have a shotgun, because with that decoy, more times often than not,
last season where I got the decoy just on the camera, and this coyote's coming, and I forgot the shotgun. I'm like, I won't need the shotgun. And that coyote's coming, it's coming, and it stops out about 150, and I'm like, I could kill it, and then it sees it. And then it sees the decoy, and I mean kicks in afterburn to the decoy, rolls the call over. I'm unloading bullets at this thing, missing it, because it's way harder to shoot a coyote with the rifle at 50 yards than it is at 150, especially when they're moving. Sure. You think you're right there, and then I did get it, but I hit it on the run, and then it stood out there at about 175 or 200, and then finally I planted it, but I'm
yelling at the coyote. It would have been
Jimmy's shotgun. And then, rule of thumb is, if you're going to use a decoy, bring the shotgun on every stand.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good idea to bring the shotgun anyway, whether you're using a decoy or not, because you like you guys said, you never know. They can pop up out of fucking anywhere. And
it's pure laziness that we don't do it, because your hands are full of your coyote chair, you got your rifle, you got your call bag, you got your pack here, and you're like, do I really need to carry something else? And some days they won't get in that range. They're just not feeling it. They're cautious. Yeah. They sit out there at 200, 250, and maybe come to 100 if you're lucky. But some days they're 150, 200 out there, and that's all they're going to come, and you got to shoot all of them that day. And then some days you can't get them to stop. No matter what you're doing, you can stand up and yell at them, and they're still coming.
Funny, I've never had that experience.
Hey, you can't stop it. It doesn't matter. They're convinced. They're coming as hard as they can. And if you don't have the shotgun, it's going to be a bad day for you.
I shot one time. She was coming across just a short cut, and it was honestly probably only about 60 yards wide, and she busted out of the other side like crazy and bounding through the snow like this. Hey, so I figured I could time her. Right there, took the top of her scalp right off, and go over and look at her. And of course, headshots. There's no sewing that shit.
No,
so you go over and look, drag her over to the bluff, carry on.
So let's dive into that rifle round, you guys. That abortion you guys use for the 20 BR. Tell us about that. So that's a Dennis Lair specialty, is it not?
Well. Jeff,
look at that. That looks like me. That looks like me. A skinny at top, and then
that's right.
Sean BR.
Yeah, the Sean BR. Right?
Skinny at top, a wide stance, nothing but performance. Hey,
That's
what are
right.
those toys? The old kids' toys, the Weevils?
Oh, yeah.
Weevils wobble, but they don't fall down.
Laughing clown you punch in the head. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
The Fred Flintstone punching bag.
why did you guys settle on that round?
Well, my 22-250 was basically at the end of its barrel life. It wasn't really grouping that well anymore. It had quite a few rounds through it. I think it was a day in the gopher patch that finally brought it to its demise. We were recording gopher kills with a 75 grain AMAX flying out of the 22-250, and I think she got a little hot, and that was the end of that throat. But so I needed to rebarrel, and obviously I knew Kris was doing a lot better with his 223 pelts than the 22-250 on average. He would always do a little better year after year. So I started researching and looking on the internet, trying to figure out what am I going to rechamber this gun to. And I reached out to Lonnie Lesmeister from the Cheyenne River Predators Hunters, and I said, Lonnie, your house burns to the ground tomorrow. You lose all your guns, every single one, all melted to the ground. What gun do you build first? 4 coyotes, 4 pelts. What's the best caliber you know of that you've used 4 pelts? And he right away replied 20 BR with this contour barrel and blah blah blah. I'm like, really? I don't even know what that is, but cool, thanks, man. So I started looking into it, threw the idea past by Dennis. He was really excited about it right away. From Dennis from Go Ballistic Gunsmithing.
The pride of Star City, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
He was excited about the project. He's a fan of the 6BR case and its inherent accuracy. And so then from there, we made a plan on how we're going to get this thing necked down to 20. We had to secure the bullets. We were building it. Kind of one of the things, obviously, Kurt, you've done a lot of this. When you're building a cartridge or developing a cartridge, you're kind of building around a specific bullet sometimes. So first we had to make sure that we could get these bullets. And at the time, Berger had discontinued the 55 grain 204 caliber long range boat tail varmint bullet. Yeah. So then we're kind of panicking. And we managed to secure.
I think we called at least a dozen places.
Oh, we called all over. We ended up getting 4,000 bullets in total. So we figured we'd have enough for 2 barrels. And then once we had that, then we went ahead and got the barrels. We got some couple of benchmark barrels from Gary at Bighorn Sales out in BC, and Dennis chambered them up, and we formed some rounds and formed some brass and shot a few test loads, and it was quite impressive right off the hop. We worked on developing a video series on how we did it, and we're still in the editing studio on that, trying to get that ready for the YouTube.
It's a long. It's going to be probably 3 or 4 episodes, 20 half an hour an episode of how it all came about, how we formed it, how we did it. But I said to Jeff, I love the 50 to 60 grain line on coyotes. It works really well. Like the 75 seem to kill them, but are you getting the velocity and it blowing holes? And I don't want to go to some lighter 204 caliber 35s, 40s. I just don't want to be there. And then when we found this bullet, and it's too bad Berger discontinued it, but we found the bullet, secured it, and I'm like, this thing's got a good BC. Like, we do this right, it's going to be an absolute hammer. Yeah.
So the for the 22-250, I tried lots of stuff. I tried 52 grain VMAXs, and obviously had one of the highest BCs in that weight class.
Yeah.
The Nosler Armageddon, I ran heavier stuff, 75 grain AMAX. I tried all kinds of different stuff. With those mid 50 class bullets, though, running at 2,800, they would blow up so violently in the animal, and all that energy would carry through to the backside on a broadside shot, for example, and a lot of times blow through. So when I slowed that bullet down now a couple hundred feet a second, when I was in between the 25 to 2,600, I found a good accuracy node there. lots of empty case volume though, and it didn't pattern real well because of that, I think. But it improved the on the pelts immensely. So when we had the opportunity with this 20 with a mid 55 grain, that mid 50 class bullet, and we were able to achieve a really accurate load with a really, a fairly full case volume at running at about 35-70, I think we settled out feet per second. So now
that's running a little hot though, isn't it?
Well, not
like
for the
you
BR.
think the 223 is running 33, and
I guess
the 22-250 is 4,000 plus.
Yeah, so we were right in that speed zone we wanted to be in.
Yep.
And then so we were getting great accuracy on paper. We had a good load. Now we had to get it on some coyotes and see what it would do. And again, I have to thank Lonnie. I got the pleasure of shooting with him at an NRL event this spring down in Nebraska just before COVID shut all the border down. I got to squad with Lonnie at the Bighorn steel match down there in Nebraska, and thanked him again. And he's been using it for a couple of years now. They've got their newest season of Cheyenne River Predator Hunters, and they do a little bit about the 20 BR and that. And we obviously used it for a full year last year, and it was it didn't disappoint.
It didn't disappoint at all.
It's everything that we had hoped for and more.
And
it's been great.
Yeah.
So if you keep up with this caliber for years to come, if it really satisfies you this much, what the hell are you going to do for bullets then?
Well, that's a great question. There's a rumor out there that Burger is going to do limited runs. If you put in an order, they're going to do limited runs. So if you order, say, I want 1,000,
10,000,
or 5,000, it may take a year to get it done, but you can do that. Like, if anybody knows, like that's what we were reading. I don't know if it's true, but when we start to we were going to reach out to any of the burger guys and say, hey, hit up your supply. Is this true? Because if we can,
I'm sure they would. You ask them very nicely and put an order in. Yeah,
like it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we ended up getting quite a few from Gary at Bighorn Sales. I know Tom at Big Go Big Tactical. Yeah. He's had them on his website. It's showing sold out right now, but I think there's once a year they can do an order. So if we say, hey, I need 2,000 or whatever, they'll probably do a run, which is what we're hoping for.
That's what we're hoping for.
Well,
do you guys know why? Sorry, do you know why Burger discontinued those?
I just don't think that, like, you need a fast twist barrel, and I think everyone's trying it in their 204, and it's just not working. So you need to go to a 1 in 8 and 1 in 7 twist. And what's a 204? 1 in 10, 1 in 12?
Mm-hmm. 12, I think.
Is the 12. So it's not going to stabilize. It's going to shoot like junk, and out of that cartridge. So I think you need a custom to do it. So I think that they probably just weren't selling.
I've
read some great things about that bullet, though.
Oh, I was trying to source a 7 twist or 7.5.
Oh my!
20 cal barrel, which nobody's making, right? So
you should hit up Brian Stacy at IBI. I'm sure he'll spin one up.
Might be worth talking to him next time you're running him at a match or something. But the 8 twist, we haven't had any issues with stabilization.
Nope.
We haven't seen any reason to worry about it. It's been good. Right. So obviously 7 or 7.5 might be better for that round, but the 8 has been perfectly fine with no issues.
Mm-hmm. So we got a video. We're out practicing at a private range on the steel coyote, and Jeff's shooting his 223, and you're seeing the trace. It's like bing. Bing. And then we pull up the 20 BRs. It's like bing, bing. It's just
wow.
It's a laser. But I shot countless coyotes at 75 yards with that gun last year. No damage. Like if you hit anything, the 223, 204, the 22, 250, 20 BR on the shoulder, and you blow out that shoulder bone, it doesn't matter what you're happening. It's gonna be a large hole. But shooting in the boiler room at the 75 yards, no problem.
Yep, really good.
Getting me all horned up about this
Like, when we were there, and like, and I don't know. I think Dennis said he's built a few for guys that's seen our stuff, and like it's a little bit of work to get the brass done, but when our video gets posted here shortly, you see how it's all done. It's a little bit to get the tooling up, but once you got it, we're gonna be like, I would love to shoot this thing till the end of time.
Kris is gonna quit hanging out with me because every time I come up with another idea, it costs him more money.
I know.
Too.
Yeah, that's the way. That's good my friend does that.
Yeah, Kurt's my friend that does that.
Yeah. So Jeff's like,
I'm the enabler.
6 BRA. So now I got a 6 BRA that we're going to a match this weekend coming up.
Yeah, we're off to Medicine Hat for the.
Oh yeah.
Chad and Sean from SAPRL do a really good job. So we're gonna go shoot that match, and it'll be a good time.
Nice. Did they cap attendance at all for that?
It usually sells out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of this whole COVID crap.
Practice score. I'm not sure what Alberta's restrictions are right now. If it's 50 people or 100 people, but yeah.
Oh, is it okay?
That's all right. Well, yeah, it was right on. It was everything we thought it would be for Coyotes and more. Like, once you got the feel, and once I got comfortable getting out of the 223 and shooting the 20 BR, like, Coyotes just started falling.
Right. I used to use a 204 with the 40 V maxes, and and it shot really well. But for some reason, I had a hell of a time with Coyotes. Damn near every one of them needed a second shot. Switched to the 39 Match King, shot better with those, and it did kill better than the V maxes, which is a bit strange to me, but.
And that's why that 55 grain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why that 55 grain bullet in the 204 caliber really intrigued me, because now you have that same energy, right? You have that higher energy and there wasn't many Coyotes that if they did run a little bit, they weren't running very far before they fell over. So
no,
and there was a lot of dead right in their tracks kills. The very last one I got of the year actually hit him so square when he was standing there. He fell over straight backwards in slow-mo, and that's real-time video on that.
I think it's our last final video on the Instagram. That's not slowed down. That's real time. He just slowly falls in the
And I said, Nick, that's good. I'm done for the year. I can quit on that note.
Right. Yeah, it shot great. Even when we first got mine set up, Jeff didn't have his done yet, and like, we were at my uncle's range, and we put out my target board. I was like, wow, this thing is grouping out of the gate with some of our test loads. And then we had it kind of on the backstop, and then up on the side of the hill, porcupine comes running over, and Jeff squeezes on the porcupine. I'm like, wow, like how far did you hold over? He's like, what do you mean hold over? It's right behind the target. Yeah. Like, it was like 200 yards behind the target. He's like, I held right on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's pretty flat.
It's pretty flat.
Poor little porcupine. They're so cute.
Yeah, I wonder what NAFA sells
those that was the one that was getting into the cattle, so it was good to have it.
Oh, yeah, you got to go, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oscar, what a beauty, hey?
Yeah. I've shot more with my
375 everything.
Holland and Holland. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, right on. 12 yards, Oscar.
So, where can we find these videos you speak of?
So, yeah, you can just search up Predator World Hunting on YouTube, and then follow us on Instagram, Predator World Hunting. We're a little bit behind with the COVID and the schedule for the YouTube, but we got a bunch lined up, ready to launch now for the YouTube. Nice. But we've got Tacticam clips and the smaller 1 minute, 2 minute clips on Instagram from everything that happened last season, and we got a lot more footage to kind of come to make the series.
I've check them out. They got.
We got to figure out how to do this. We got to figure out how to do it live like these guys do. That we don't have to do all this studio work and get it on the. Just put it
Listen. You can have access.
Involved.
You can have access to our StreamYard account as long as you give us each a 20 BR rifle and a Reese Outdoors Predator pack.
Yeah.
Well, and we might think about it.
For you.
You're gonna have to call Dennis. He's got the reamer and everything.
Yeah.
I saw him just push another one out the door last week. I think he had another 20 BR built for somebody. So
wow.
You
make an awfully convincing argument for that cartridge anyway.
Like I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it would be this good. I thought it would when we did our research and I said, like, it sounds like it has all the benefits of a 223 with all the benefits of a 22 250. I'm like, It just sounds too good to be true. But when we put it to test on 120 kites this year, like, it didn't disappoint.
Yeah. So besides cost, okay, what are some of the downsides to that cartridge? Are there any?
Well, you can't buy factory loaded ammo. First of all,
no, of course.
Tooling is expensive, and now finding the bullets is going to be a challenge.
Yep,
sure. Yeah. Hopefully, Burger keeps doing this limited runs here and there.
Yeah.
I got my dice from Reading. They make an actual 20 BR die set in the full length bushing die,
like standard stock, no special order.
It wasn't a special order. It's actually on there when you look at the Reading list. I think it's
good.
Type B or Type C. So they are a little bit more than the more common ones, but they do make a 20 BR die set. Obviously, no factory ammo. Other than that,
are you guys neck turning those things? No, you're not. Hey,
I haven't. I'm just. We each bought 300 pieces of brass, and I'm just on my. I started into the after the first reload on some of mine. Chris is still on his first just neck down brass. He hasn't got all the way through the first 300 pieces. So haven't had to do any neck turning. I hate neck turning. I have tried it. I've done it on 308, and I don't want to do it if I don't have to. So that was actually one of the things when I first talked to Dennis about making this plan was like we need to come up with a no neck turn reamer, and because I really didn't want to get into that game if I didn't have to.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I just wondered if you're going down to that sort of 10 or 11 thou neck wall thickness or something like that for that chamber reamer, and if you had to, necking it down from 6 is a fair ways, right?
It is, and that's why. And then again, part of that plan, and we did describe it in our video. I go down 7 thou or about 10, I guess, on the body die, and then the next bushing took it down 7 thou, and then 6 thou, and then 5, and then 4, I think, on the last one. So we weren't. I was trying not to overwork the brass, and now with the amp annealer on the bench, after the first time through the gun, we'll anneal it again, and it should be good.
That makes a difference, hey, that annealing. My God.
Yeah.
I don't know how I went without it for so many years.
Yeah, it's just so consistent. I had an open flame annealer before, and now this thing it's unbelievable. It's just
you bet.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys. So predatorworldhunting.com. Check them out there. Where else can they find you? Instagram handles, fellas?
Instagram handles is Predator World Hunting, and then YouTube is Predator World Hunting.
Sweet. And Reese Outdoors, Jeff, where can we find those?
Reese Outdoors, we're on Facebook and Instagram, Reese Outdoors Canada, and the website for Canadian orders is www.reeseoutdoorscanada.com. And we do provide free shipping to any order that is inside Canada's borders. So go on there, check it out, and and that's who else we got. We got to obviously thank probably Red Star Targets.
Yep.
Scotty Glass helps us out a little bit. Colton from Prairie Precision Steel is another one of our sponsors. We love shooting his steel.
Dennis from Go Ballistic Guns.
Obviously Dennis, and then Ben brought us on partway through last winter.
Yep.
With the Extreme Range Outfitters as well.
Well, and I got to admit, and I'm going to tell Ben this, you guys are part of the reason I got the Midas TAC 5-25 Athlon scope, because Yeah, it's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
We both own one. That's on my 223 AI PRS trainer right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You guys also scooped us for sponsorship at
Yeah.
Extreme Range Outfitters.
Well,
You got in like
I went and
yeah,
asked
2
them
weeks
about
before.
a week after you guys did.
Yeah.
Ben's like, sorry, buddy, I'm tapped.
Yeah. he did give me a smoking deal on that
He
stuff
did,
from my
yeah.
auction there. So that was
Excellent.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cool, guys.
Hey,
Well, thanks.
here's kind of a closer here. Just one more. How well does that 20 BR case feed?
Like,
That's
if
a very
you,
legitimate question.
Like, we both shoot AICS mags, and if with the 20 BR and with the BR with the 6 BR,
It's a spacer
it's
kit.
a spacer kit.
I bought mine from Primal Rights.
I
down in the
built mine.
States. He built his own. No problem with feeding. The only thing is because the case is a little shorter and more efficient, I guess Sean would say. Yeah, because it is a little
Is that
wider.
a fat joke, Scobes?
No, not at all. It's we can get 4 in the magazine instead of 5. We use the 5-round mags, and you can get 4 in there. The 5th one you can't quite get it in. So we just run 4 mags and have an
That's
extra
what she
mag in the
said.
pocket, and then it's good that way.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's there was one mag we found out had shorter feed lips, and it would nose up. So you just avoid the ones with the shorter feed lips, go with the ones with the longer feed lips, and then it just guides it right in there. And you might have to tune here and there, but once we got it figured, there was really no issues.
Yeah, as you know, Kurt, you got to tune feed lips on most magazines to get them to feed good. But
for sure,
we've had to do some fast and furious chambering in the field on the second and third coyotes, and with no problem feeding those at all.
No. Yeah, it's
well, and
it's
that's
nice.
where
It's short. It ejects nice. It's fast. There's really like short stroking is not an issue because it comes right out and you slam the next one in. It works really well once you get the spacer kit in, so it feeds properly, and using the longer feed lips, we haven't had a feeding issue at all.
Yeah, well, I imagine that's coming from the 6 dasher problems that guys are having, right? So.
Same kit you'd use in the dasher.
It's the same kit I use for my 6 BRA. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well, and what I was trying to put in there was that's where running PRS in the off season and taking courses just to keep your game sharp, like the windage course from call sign 6-6 or whatever, running a PRS match, or even just going to the range and just blasting off, supporting your local range and going that way. That's the way to go, and that's the way to keep your skills sharp, your fundamentals sound. So when you do get into season, you're used to that adrenaline rush. You're getting used to that. Well, especially in competition, Jeff, full well. Once that buzzer goes, your adrenaline flows. And it's like, oh fuck, beep. What do I do? Oh shit. It's the same thing when you see that coyote crest that hilltop or whatever, crest that bluff, right?
Yeah, I was obviously starting hunting coyotes before I ever got into PRS, and one of the reasons I got into PRS and trying to shoot farther and more was obviously to get better on the gun specifically for coyotes.
Yeah.
Obviously sitting from a sitting position, it's a lot harder to hit them than it is from the prone, and we are sitting probably 95%
of the time. Yeah.
Hardly ever going prone, just because to get that little better vantage point. So getting better on the gun was the sole reason for me getting into PRS. Obviously met so many people and new friends because of it. I gave up golf completely because of the competition shooting was so much fun.
Good move.
And before I was on a quest to try and hit at 300 all the time, and now we start warming up at 300 and it's been awesome, man.
How many times at a match have you wished for movers? Because coyote hunting refines that mover skill like crazy. Hey,
I've been last summer at Rob Furlong's PRS sanctioned match. There was a mover. That was the first time I'd seen one in a match. And then when we were in Montana for the Defy Your Distance, they had a mover there. That was the first time I hit a mover. I didn't hit it the first time at Furlong Place.
Because it wasn't shaped like a coyote?
No.
Well, we try and shoot the coyotes when they're stopped. So
come on.
We always try and whoop them stopped. I do shoot them from time to time, but normally when the mover, it's coming straight on, and that crosshair's on hair all the time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we have hit them on the run, but the goal is to obviously get them to stop, because they're going to give you that couple seconds where you can get a
settle that crosshair.
Well, and in reality, we're all ethical hunters here. We want to take the most ethical shot possible to kill that animal in the fastest time possible, in the least painless way possible. At least whatever.
Sure, we'll go with that.
That way it's going. But what I want to add one thing. Scobs, you've shot a couple of IPSC matches. What I would like to try one day at your range, Kurt, is stealing one of those poppers where you shoot the popper, it engages the flip up target. Or the spinner target where it's going back and forth like this behind a barricade or something. And I want to see if I can hit that at long range with like a 6.5 Creed or something, just to see how that would go and see where you hit on it and try and time it just right and get those seconds like 1, 2, pick, and it hits or whatever. Like, I want to try and get that.
Well, in Leduc,
I got to get back into the fab shop.
In Leduc, they had for the shoot off at the end of the match between the two guys, they had the heck do they call that thing? It was 3 steel targets on this one and 3 steel targets on this one, and the center post on that was a hub, is a double helix, I think they called it.
Okay.
So if you shot one target off, now this would go this way, and these things would
like
spin.
the Texas Star.
Kind of like a Texas Star, but there was 2 of them, and that whole. It was crazy, and
wow,
and,
nice.
That'd be tough. But as soon as you get a mover on your range, Kurt, I might have to move up north.
It's been in the works.
I'd like to see the coyote running in front of you like this at 40 yards, and you got a shotgun, and it falls over, and then another one pops up at 400, and you got to get on the rifle.
I know some electrical engineers, but I don't have the
right. Yeah,
this when you rack the slug from the match saver in and try and take a pot shot at 400 with that, and you're lobbing that cocksucker in.
It's definitely a learning curve to the hitting the movers for sure, but that's where like Kurt was talking about training. Any training you can get from any of these professionals that are teaching these courses are invaluable. A lot of guys think, I know how to shoot, or I know how to do this or that.
You don't know nothing. You gotta fucking
you'll learn no matter what. So I mean, there's a ton of people, ton of good guys teaching courses, and any one of them you take, you'll learn, whether it be pistol.
They really are.
Let's say I got my fundamentals down pat, and a year later I sit down with Miles for a couple days. I guarantee you I'm going to learn something just from that guy's experience at call sign, just from what he's gone through and what they do. And there's so much knowledge and experience with those guys that it's just phenomenal. And it sucks that COVID hit, because I wish we could have done a little more with those guys. But anyway, cool, guys. Well, appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. We're getting close to an hour and a half here. I hope all you listeners out there in podcast land have liked the new format, or if you don't, let us know. We're just trying it out. We're trying to get into the meat and potatoes a little faster. What's up, Scobs?
One more thing. If any of the listeners out there know or own land, or know people that own land that would be interested in shooting long range, or possibly hosting, letting us rent property for a weekend to host a match, we'd love to supply all this steel and get something rolling in this province, because there really isn't much going on as far as
in southern Saskatchewan.
So if anybody knows of somebody that may be interested in picking up the sport, or looking into that, or whatever else, give us a call. And we got pretty much everything figured out, other than the fact that we don't have a nice big piece of land that has a little bit of structure to it, so that bullets aren't flying over yonder or whatever. But that's the quest right now, is trying to find a landowner or secure a piece of property for to get some long range shooting, because all the 3-gun guys are like, a lot of them, talked to a couple of them.
Their game.
Now their game's
done.
Their game's done, and they're picking up precision rifles right now. And there's a few of them actually coming to this match this weekend So it's gonna start picking up, and
that's me. You know, I was a blaster guy, and I never shot further than 400 in my life, and then all of a sudden I go out to Kurt's range and I'm making hits at 1050. You know, it's
no 400
all of a sudden.
Yeah, like what was I, like 2 or 3 shots in it from the bench there? I know with John's 223 Ackley improved, that was a little tough to get it out there, but and the wind was a bit of a bitch that night too. But
didn't you get it out there though?
I did.
Yeah,
it took a couple mags, but I got her, and then I took Jens's what was that, a 6.5 47 or 6x47?
6x47, yeah.
Yeah, and I took that. That gun is fucking mid. Oh, that's sweet. And that was a EM precision build. You know, with the Defiance deviant action IBI barrel, right? I think that one has an IBI barrel, MPA chassis. I think.
I can't remember.
Schmidt this week. Yeah, Shane. I think Shane's shooting this week.
Nice. He's going down to the hat, and he didn't tell me. What a guy!
Oh, yeah.
What a guy!
He's a beauty.
You're off the Christmas card list.
Yeah,
he was on a Christmas card list.
No, you.
Oh, me. Yeah, totally. Cool, guys. Well, thanks. Appreciate it. See you next week.
You bet.
All right, guys.
Awesome,
Thanks for
boys. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.